Welcome to those who continue with the LSCM course on TIA Portal and have completed the first 4 modules. Now let's move on to Module 5, which will deal with the CTU and CTD counters. First, it would be good for you to see the PDF that talks more than anything about many things, for example how it is used in the industry, and then explains each thing. Explains very well. You could go and see what each thing means, for example this. Because I'm not going to explain this thing in depth. What does this mean? What I can explain in the video is in the software of providing how to place the counters, how to configure them so that they work well. So that's why we're also going here. There are 3 practical exercises that you can do. Example, this exercise 1: count 20 boxes produced using a CTD counter. When you reach 20 pieces, a green lamp will light up and you will want a lamp. Super simple that you will be able to do it after watching this video. Module 5, where they go to the channel. For example, here is the channel. I recently uploaded the one with the full timer, and it's in Module 4. I uploaded it recently. So let's go there. First of all, I'm going to show you what I have done. I'm going to explain how to do this place, but first I would like to show you what it is in a simulated way, and I am going to explain each thing to you. For example, you already know how to put this as the entrance and the exit as this, instead of saying please be as a box. Suppose this is a sensor, and this sensor marks the presence of a box, and by a tape, and a sensor makes the box, and the sensor is going to close, and when it is closes, it will detect that a box has passed, and here it will count. Instead of 0, it will output 1 because it is already a box passed, so it counts from a box. Another box passes, the sensor detects it, it closes and counts another box, and it will go up to 2. They understand the CTU is ascending, that is, the counter is going up. As the boxes pass, the CTD is the other way around. As the boxes pass, and it goes to 21 or go to 19 because it is descending. For example, after they put it on new, they open here with telepieces, they drag it like. If it were a timer, they drag it here and then change the PV, which is, for example, at. How many boxes do you want to activate? I don't know, a light or the motor, for example, something here. And here I put 3, that is, when you pass 3 boxes, an engine for X thing will be activated. Now let's do the test. There, he told one they saw. I give it 0. I guess now another box passes in soft. From good to 0. Now when you go up to the one that supposedly detects another box, the motor will be activated. There it reached 3, and it is activated here in the reset. In the reset are that you put an equal contact. For example, I put an M0.1, which has to be linked to a button, and towards a button in which you put it to reset, that is, when you press it, it will reset the counter, but I modify it and it prescribes well. I don't know this one to reset the counter. Here. This was the same thing that was done here. It was an alarm, for example here. Reading 5 activates weapon. And sometimes the portal guy sticks to me, which is where I'm recording. And there the alarm is activated. And here the same. To reset it, I have another contact. And that would be basically how a CTB counter works. Now I am going to explain the CTB. That the CTB has a particularity that is descending certain but you to put the PB by. For example, the CTB, one of the things that is used, for example, is that you do not have 20 boxes. You know that there are 20 boxes and you want the moment when the 20 boxes have passed, no. Have the tape turn on the light or so you use the CTB. Let's say that I have 5 boxes, they put 5 here and they put a contact here. When you give it your or activate the contact of this LED that you have here and PB is going to leave. Here it's going to happen, here it's going to take off. Now you can put him back to who he is. And now is when the boxes begin to pass, or suppose that these are the boards I put. So as not to confuse them, I put Vera so he passes a board and lowers a flavor that I told him was descending. Here the peculiarity is that the output is activated when it reaches 0 in the CTB. The CTB truck activates the exit when they arrive at the PB. Look, let's give it until it reaches 0. And two more tolerances are missing. And now when he makes the last board, suppose a green light is going to activate. And what happens if another board passes with TIML? It goes to -1. Would go down. So that's after. Here there is another one, for example, that the CTB. It is basically the same as the CTB, and the CTB is a fusion. You can make the CTB. For example, if you need to mix them, instead of putting a CTB and a CTB, you can put a TUD. And they have everything, they have both things in the same blocks. So now I'm going to take out the simulation. And I'm going to explain how to place the counter tremors, so I'm going to pause. Well, as I already taught you in the previous modules, to place the contact here. Open here, change to the shot, I put M0.5, which is the one that is not used. As you can see, the M0.4 and the others are used. Here, as I explained, they drag it like this. Here you can change the name, and I'll just leave it like that. Here it asks you to change the PV. And for example, what I explained to them. How many boxes do I want the aliases to be activated? I don't know. I want them to activate when today or boxes happen. We leave the bongo and the soap like this, and the reset can place, for example, an M0.6 contact. And when you activate it, the finder will resist. This is important because if you don't have this, here the contact does not resist. So here we are going to place an output that the M0.3 could do. Here the aliases are placed with this. They do not place here in a Q0.3 that is not used. Also, the name is what activates them. I don't know a red light. Then they compile this, simulate it, and do the same thing I did. When you get there, the gold will be activated. I'm going to simulate it because the truth is, this version is very bad with the issue the PVL if a lot of problems. That's why I recommend you better download a version. Previous version unless they are already working on an express and need the latest version. And just use this one anymore, but if you are learning better use the previous one because the PVL did work better, and this I feel like it takes up a lot of resources. Okay. So see, this is how it is done, and well, the CTD here is basically the same. For example, I have 8 boxes. I have it instead of 8 or 9, I put 3. And there are only 3 boxes left, so when you pass the 3 boxes it will do, and I made it activate this. It is very important that you put a contact here because otherwise when you start the simulation or load a PVL of 0, so you have to activate a contact here, for example 0.5. You activate it, whether it's a button or selector or something you have, you press it. And the PVL from here is going to go here on 3, it is going to go here on 3, and every time the sensor is activated, from here it will go down to 0, and when you see that it is 0 the series will be activated. The CTD that he is explaining to you, that is, what I was mentioning before, now I am going to explain it to you and facilitate this part is in that CTD. Here is the U. When you see the U CTD and the CD and the QD comes from CTD, and the R it is from the CTD, so it was the third LD in the PV that I placed above you, remember, so you have to try the CTD. I'm going to leave it for you and you can see it by trying it, and you'll see that the truth is the same as the two things, but like a fusion the two merge. So if you need a CTD, it is better to use this one, so as not to have extra programming. So if you have any questions or queries, you can write them in the comments on YouTube. And I am going to answer that either by recording a video, or you can also consult it, for example in the part of questions that is in the community here. Go to the community part, not to question, ask a question and I will answer that now. The page is in constant development. I will try to finish the modules quickly. Until module 30, I think he finished it in 1 or 2 months. And then I moved with the HME and Escada, so that. Bye.